against Newcastle? Is he fit to start now?
It was very good. He came on and immediately you could see the desire and the responsibility to get in game to try to change it, his decision making, the way he approached every ball, and he made a difference to help us to win again.
Ian, talk to all.
Hi Mikel, how are you?
Good, thank you.
In terms of the Champions League, because you got to the semi-final last year, so close, is there a greater expectation and greater pressure on you this year in this competition?
Well, we have the same ambition, which is go game by game and try to be better than the opponent, which is very difficult in this competition, and win as many games as we can. And tomorrow we're going to have a really difficult one. We know how important the home form is going to be to reach in this phase where we want to arrive, and tomorrow we have the opportunity to start well.
Great news about William Saliba, and this used to be a club whereby you felt that players would go into the last year of their contract and maybe managers or administrative staff weren't on top of it. Is that the one thing or one of the things you've changed for the better, that you can say this is one thing that I really have been successful at?
Well, I don't know. What I know certainly is that at the end there are 2 or 3 parties that have to come together to an agreement, and with the 3 of them have the same intention and the same will, it's easier to get it done. And in these cases, it's been extremely positive. Obviously, Andrea, the team, and the support that we have from Stan and Josh especially makes this obviously possible and available, and we are extremely happy to continue this journey with them.
Finally, if I can have a bit of fun with you, I mean, Arsenal are flying high, so no surprise to see the RAF story this week. Firstly, when are they coming in? Are they coming in to see the RAF? I didn't have to dodge any planes to get in the car park. And secondly, how do you come up with these ideas? Because they're very out of the box. They're very left field. These ideas to improve your players with very different kind of ways of doing it.
Yeah, you're a bit late. That was 2 years ago. So the plane's already gone. I don't know where it is at the moment.
Okay, we'll go to Dharmesh from Sky.
Hey, Mikel.
Yeah.
Just on William Saliba, it's going to be clear that some of European football's top clubs will be interested in a player like that. Was there any part of you, with him entering the final 2 years of his deal, that was fearful he wouldn't sign?
Probably more than the length of the contract is the will of the player, you know, because then you can understand, I said, some players, sometimes they have a dream. Some of them is being to play in the Premier League, some of them is to play in the Premier League for Arsenal. Another one can be to play in a different country for a different club. So you have to respect that. I think we've been really, really lucky, but as well it shows the power of this football club and how much people loves it and wants to come here, that none of that is happening. Even they have the possibility to go somewhere else, they want to remain here.
He signed at Arsenal when he was very young, at 18 years old.
Yeah.
And there were 3 loan spells early in his Arsenal career. Were you always convinced that William Saliba was going to become the player that we see today?
Well, I think it's a great example is to get what you want. There is not a single pathway. It can happen in various ways, in various manners, because when you talk about this pathway, you talk about loans. Within those loans, there were various reasons to those loans. There was a big injury as well that kept him for a long period of time away from football. Then when he was here, we had another serious injury. So it's a lot that has happened, a lot that Willie had to get through, and the club and myself with him as well, to get to the point where he is today. And that's the beauty of it, that sometimes things don't start the way you expected, but sometimes it's the best thing that can happen to you to get where you want to get.
Just final one for me. Whenever I hear pundits and journalists talking about Arsenal, there's obviously a lot of noise outside the club. And one of the messages this season seems to be, Arsenal have got no excuses. They've just got to go out there and do it. Are you aware of this noise? Do you pay attention to it? Or how do you block it out?
Well, I'm aware the moment I step in this chair that what I want with this football club is to win major trophies. That's it. Nobody else has to put that line into us. That's the ambition, the first day, and the excuses, yeah, they've never been part of my life.
Thank you. James from CBS. Yeah.
Hi Mikel, I'd just like to take back to your first European tie as an Arsenal manager, which I'm sure you remember was against Olympiacos, and was quite dramatic. You have the last minute goal against you, the last minute goal that didn't come, and then quite dramatic days afterwards as well, and quite significant. In that time, are you thinking, what on earth have I let myself in for here?
No, no, but that's the beauty of football as well. I think I perfectly remember when we scored the goal, then when we conceded the equalizer, the last chance that we have in the last second of the game as well to go through it. What happened after that as well, when COVID and everything hit. So yeah, part of the journey as well to get to where you. Is a good example, like Willie, to get where you want to get. Sometimes you have to go through moments that probably you didn't expect to go through.
How did that strange sort of first year in the job change, or did it help you develop as a manager?
Well, it was a lot, obviously, to swallow, coming into a massive club in the middle of the season when you never coach a team. That's already a big challenge. On top of that, everything that was happening at the football club, on top of that, COVID hits, you're not able to be in contact with your players or the club, and that drags for almost 2 years. Yeah, it's a lot, but it was an experience that I learned a lot from it, and I think it made all of us better.
Simon Standard.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I know the atmosphere is a big thing for you. And one of the things we've noticed this season, obviously the tunnel has changed. There's no cover over it. I just wonder, is that something you were involved in? What was that change about, and how do you think it could impact the atmosphere?
No, obviously also as a club we have always the ambition to generate the best atmosphere in the world at the Emirates. And we have the best supporters in the world, and now we have to facilitate everything. And the team has to give the right feelings to our supporters every time we play in front of them. We need to habilitate as well the stadium in the manner that we want, and we need to ignite that will that we have to play every single ball with us, because it makes such a difference. I want to play and win the things that we want to win. That's a non-negotiable. You need to have a stadium that is able to create those moments for sure.
The other one I wanted to ask you was about Max, who, if he plays in any of these games before his birthday, could make history in the Champions League. Obviously, we all are talking about it a lot in these few months, but for you as managers, when were you first aware of the talent you had, and what work has gone into the point where we are now, where he could be making history?
Well, the first conversation probably was with Per, when we were talking about the talent and what he could see and feel that I could reach out the level that we needed. Straight away his name came up, and then we started to look at him, and yeah, the way he's developed himself and the steps that he's taking and the speed he's taking them, it's probably unheard of. And yeah, he's fully with us, he's part of us, he trained with us, and he's got the same chances as anybody else.
Can you remember what year that conversation was?
I would say a year and a half, 2 years ago.
James Athletic.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I wanted to ask you about Victor Gyökeres. He was involved in a really physical game at the weekend with Newcastle. I just wondered, what was your assessment of how he stood up to that challenge, and where do you think that, what does that say about where he is in his adaptation?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it how he took it. He went on board. Not a single moment when he's showing frustration. I told him, you're going to get some decisions, some others not. Stand up. You're going to have 2 or 3 players around you many moments. The ball is in the air and a lot is going to happen. But I loved his reaction. I loved the way he handled the situation emotionally, and as well because he was involved in a lot of dangerous moments that he created. He was very much involved in them. And yeah, it's a pity that he didn't score a goal at the end, because in my opinion he fully deserved it.
There's quite a big sort of burden on him at the moment with no Kai. He's kind of the 9 on his own, a lot of expectation. How do you think he's handling that?
In a really natural and organic way, I would say. He's a really confident boy. His work ethic is incredible. The demands that he puts in himself every single day. It's a joy to work with him. He gives so much to the team, and the ceiling is very, very far what he can still give to the team. So very happy with him.
Harry, BBC Radio.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
One of the things that people are most excited about is the volume of options that you have in the squad. On the weekend, we saw Eza playing a more central position, sort of close to the forward. What would you say he brings to the role that's maybe a little bit different to what Martin Odegaard does?
Yeah, I think he's got this different quality, you know, that he does things that, you know, in the book they are unexpected. When you think he's going to turn right, he goes left. When he thinks that he's going to take another touch, he releases the ball. It's his vision. It's a player that can create those magic moments, and at some point he can steal the pot in a way that not many players can do. We are lucky that we have a few of those, but the more we put in central positions in those conditions, especially when he has threat around him, we play in his strengths.
How would you say he's adapted to life at Arsenal? He's not been here that long, but it feels like he's at home already.
Very good. Well, personally, obviously, it's a very special character, someone really easy to get on with, super intelligent. I've been very impressed how quickly he picks things, the question he asks, and how smart he is just to navigate through a different environment. And then, yeah, the chemistry is generating with his teammates, the way he's impacting games. I think for the short period he's been with us, I think really positive.
Okay, last one in the live section. First one here.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Olympiacos has had quite a positive record at the Emirates. How do you not let this affect your mentality, and how do you learn from your previous encounters?
Yeah, well, because they had a really good side, and they have a really, really good manager, which I know since I was 13, because he was my coach at that period, and I know how he works, I know how efficient he is in what he does. That's what I'm saying, that tomorrow is going to be a really tough match.
Okay, and finally live, David from...
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Saliba was part of the defense with Gabriel, Timber, and Coffee, the one you have used the most this season. What do you see in this defense, and what do you think it's making it so good?
Well, one is chemistry. I think there is something about, especially when we talk about centre backs or units, that it has to exist, that it has to be a will, a feeling to play for each other, and basically to hide each other's weaknesses and promote each other's strengths. And that's an ability that they have between them, and they have developed. They like to play with each other, they love each other, and that's a massive thing when you're asking your backline to produce what they are producing at the moment.
Okay, that finishes the live. We'll go into 10:30 tonight. Kick off with this one in the back.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
With Saliba, it was mentioned before about how initially he went to the 3 loan spells and then came through that. He's now obviously one of your main players. If you look across the first team in the last couple of seasons, there's not really been that route where you've sent players out on loan to young and then they've come back and then risen to the first team. Why is that particular route really not being utilised much at all since William, would you say?
Well, we very rarely have recruited 18 years old in that position at that price.
Across the, not just centre back, I mean across the...
Well, that signing was done before I arrived as well, and I didn't really know the expectation that we had in relation to that, but in that moment my opinion was that the room that he had in the squad, the environment that he had in the squad, and I would say the capacity that he has to impact the team with what we needed, it wasn't ideal. And we decided to loan him and to give him the exposure that he needs, to let him mature as well in a different league with a different coach, and then he was ready for it.
You often talk about the atmosphere at the Emirates and how good it is and how you want to keep improving it every season. Do you look at places like Newcastle, for example, where St James's Park, crazy atmosphere, arguably maybe has an impact on certain things at times? Do you kind of look at that and think this is the reason why you want to bolster the atmosphere at the Emirates? For
sure, we can learn and take things from many clubs, and in Europe there are some great examples as well. One thing is the things that we can do externally to that. We cannot compare ourselves to a city as well that has got one club, which it brings everything together much easier. In London, unfortunately, we have so many, and it's a very different context. But as well, I think there is a history between that crowd and that team, and the moment that you that's exactly what we need as a club, obviously me as a manager and everybody that works with them, that they feel that they have that sense of belonging, that they can continue the journey.